This program is sponsored by TechTime Radio. Visit them online at techtimeradio.com.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week. The show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host and technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise. Our co-host Mike Roday is in studio today. Mike's an award-winning author and human behavior expert. Now we're live streaming during our show on 4 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/TechTime Radio. Now we're friends from different backgrounds, but we bring the best technology show possible weekly for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. We're glad to have Odie, our producer, at the control panel today. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
Today on Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, buckle up as we dive into the latest tech news and stories. Here's what we have coming up for you on the show today. We take a look at the security lapse at Georgia Tech and what it means to your data. We'll guide you in how to check if your social security number has been part of a data breach. And in lighter news, Lyft lets you bring your furry friends with them on their new Pet Rides feature. We'll explore the endless web and video scrolling might cause you to be more bored than you think, not less. To lead off the day, we're going to discuss Meta's surprising decision to cancel its competitors to the Apple Vision Pro. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I'll explain why. Plus, Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics will join us to discuss topics emerging from the threat of Terrorgram. In addition, of course, we have our standard features, including Mike's mesmerizing moment, our technology fail of the week, and a possible Nathan Nugget. And of course, our pick of the day whiskey tasting to see if our selected whiskey picks get 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up by the end of the show. But now let's move into the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
Story number 1, Meta cancels its Apple Vision Pro competitor device. Let's go to Corinne Westland for more on the story.
Meta seems to have canceled the development of its premium mixed reality headset, which was to come out sometime in 2027. The headset, a high-resolution micro OLED screen, and advanced optics seem to be no longer Zuckerberg's primary interest as Meta, has shifted the majority of its research and development staff onto AI. The news about Meta's plan to cancel its premium headset comes from a recent report by The Information. According to the publication, which cites 2 Meta employees, the company recently held a product review meeting during which employees were told to stop working on the product. Back to you in the studio.
Or Meta.
All right. In a post on Threads, Meta's CTO, Andrew Bosworth, said, "We have many prototypes in development at all times, but we don't bring all of them to production. We move forward with some, we pass on others. Decisions like this happen all the time, and stories based on chatter about one individual decision will never get the real picture." However, Meta seems to be working still on the Quest 4, which might be launching sometime in 2026 with a price point of approximately $500. A few months ago, a report also hinted that Apple has stopped working on the development of the Vision Pro 2 after facing major setbacks. It also hinted that the decision was made after the Vision Pro suffered by disappointing sales figures and instead working on a pocket-friendly mixed reality headset that won't be as expensive as the original Vision Pro. Now, let's talk about this a little bit. What's that? The pocket-friendly mixed reality?
A pocket version.
Okay, well.
Okay, whatever.
So here's my thinking on this. I actually think Meta may get something right here. So they realize, they realize people aren't going to pay $1,500 for a virtual reality system that is essentially right now, Bing, the same unit that you would have for video games and any interaction that you have in that spot itself. Why not? I like Meta's idea. Why not continue to figure out a way to come up with a device that's $500, maybe even $600 or lower, so that the standard consumer can enjoy it? The more of these that get out there, if you're going to go now to the Quest 4, you're still going to have Quest 3 out, Quest 2. By addition of lower numbers in the consumer level, I actually think the adoption may work better than Apple's idea of having this luxury product that no one really
Yeah,
paid for.
well, I don't know. I sort of interpret that quote a little bit differently, where he's talking about having many It sounds like, hey, we're scrambling to try and figure out how to pull us out of debt, and it's just not working.
Is that what you got out of that?
That's what I got out of that.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna go and move all of our resources over to stuff everybody else has already conquered and try and get into that field.
Okay. that doesn't sound like a very good field to do then. If that's what they're gonna do, right?
Yeah. To me, I'm like, okay, for one, everybody in the metaverse, that's what they want, right? They want the metaverse.
Yeah.
And they've been pounded by Apple.
Yeah.
And hasn't Microsoft sort of taken some of that?
No, because they don't have it. It's still, well, Sony PlayStation has Sony
Okay,
has
so,
Sony has a
Yeah,
device.
all right, Sony. Yeah, and they just can't get ahead. You know, they created this idea of becoming this virtual reality existence, and they're not really getting anywhere.
So Apple's smart enough where they say, hey, guess what? This was a lose-lose. We'll figure out a way to come out with something cheaper.
Well, I guess if
more
you can't get all your disciples to buy something,
Well,
then you
they
got to go
didn't.
like, well, I guess we kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
That's right. Okay. All right. Let's go on though now. Speaking of pooches, let's go on to story number 2.
Lyft is letting you bring your dog with you. Here's how the new pet rides work. Lyft is rolling out a new feature designed to make rides more inclusive for pet owners all across the U.S. Just in time for National Dog Day, the company announced the launch of Pet Rides, a service allowing riders to bring their pets along for the trip. Riders will pay an additional $4 fee, which goes directly to the driver.
Okay.
This new option aims to ease the stress of traveling with pets, ensuring that riders are matched with drivers who are comfortable with having animals in their cars. Whether it's a quick trip to the vet or a day at the park, pet owners can now bring their furry friends without hassle. To book a Lyft pet ride, users can select the option in the Lyft app. The service is currently limited to 1 cat or dog per ride, with pets required to be in a carrier, on a blanket, or at the owner's feet. While drivers can opt out of participating, they are still required to accommodate service animals. And with pet rides, Lyft catches up with competitor Uber, which has had the feature since 2021. As part of the rollout for the feature, Lyft is partnering with animal shelters and rescue organizations, encouraging pet adoption with special promotions. I think it's pretty neat.
You like that idea?
Yeah.
You think $4 is enough to give somebody
No.
a ride with a dog
No.
or a cat?
You don't think so?
Okay.
I don't know. I think about when I had pets and I had to take them to places, and 9 times out of 10 things went okay.
Okay.
But there was always that one trip that makes you want to rethink your entire life choice.
Well, I'm thinking in the sense of, okay, so this requires owners to have either a carrier or
A carrier, a blanket, or laying at their feet.
Yeah. Which, if I'm thinking about it back when I had a dog and I would take them to the dog park, there are so many things that can happen at the dog park, specifically the one in Magnuson, where it ends with the trail leads to the beach and dogs usually go in the water. How can I plan for that? I'm not going to be carrying, I'm trying to think about it. I'm not going to be carrying a carrier with me as I'm out with my furry friend at the dog park.
Okay.
And then I'd have to bring the blanket makes sense, but I'd feel kind of bad that the $4 does not really.
I don't really think but then again,
It doesn't justify the cost.
I don't know what it's like to be a Lyft driver. So, well, I kind of do, but
I don't know how
not to this extent.
Not to this extent with pets, but you know what? People are always looking for ways to enjoy their pets.
Right.
And so if I paid $4 more to have them go down, and take them to the park instead of me walking to the park. I don't know. I think what it's saying is that we have now come to a point where pets are considered almost at the same stature level as small children.
Right. Honestly, we have. In my generation, okay, I know make your faces, Mike, but in my generation, we look at our pets as our fur babies. So they become our
pets are valuable.
Listen.
Pets are valuable.
Our
but
pets as their kids.
Pets are pets.
And then our plants as our pets. That's become the new
Yeah,
I mean, thing.
I'm always surprised at the level of how pets are treated here in the Pacific Northwest are as opposed to where I'm from. So it was a big surprise to me.
Back in the country.
Back in the country, yeah. I mean, pets. It's not that pets aren't valuable, but they're not humans. And when we attribute human qualities to them, which we do, we create this piece where they become more valuable to us than the pet realm allows us, you know.
I mean, it's all in good fun and on it, and you know.
Actually, it's sometimes not more than good fun. Sometimes it's a little out there.
You know, I'm not Lady Gaga, and I'm not gonna have a babysitter for my pets, but you know, I'll call my little cat, my little cutie, my little baby.
Sure.
And she's my everything, you know, why not?
I'm pretty sure most people talk to their pets.
She won't poop a diaper. She won't.
I know people who talk to their boats, so, you know, or their cars.
That's odd.
Yeah, well, that's odd.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Mark's just laughing because you think that's odd.
The object is not going to respond to you. If I make little kissy noises at my pet, they're gonna especially a dog. You know, they're gonna be overjoyed to be around me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with valuing a pet and engaging with your pet, but when you start believing them to be human-like, that becomes a problem.
Well, I think this is fun for Lyft. Way to go, Lyft. I'm excited to see all the fun stories on Twitter or X that are about to come out, you know, about this.
There you go. All right, well, let's move on to the next story.
Yeah, Mike.
There you go, Mike. You ready?
You ready to go?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So we have a story here that scrolling might make you more bored and not less.
Okay, wow.
So if you are scrolling, you're a TikToker, right?
I'm a TikToker.
Do you scroll through your TikToks?
I don't. I normally watch them.
See, you're not a TikToker.
What? I'm a TikTok fan. I mean, I don't scroll.
But you're not
I scroll up and
scrolling.
down.
Yeah.
Up and down is
What?
just an up and down on TikTok. Just gets you a new video.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they was talking about scrolling like left and right when you like pause stuff.
No, this is like
talking
looking
about
at a
doom
video,
scrolling.
and then even before the video is halfway through, you go to the
okay.
next
Well, then
video.
yes, I do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody that wouldn't do that.
So yeah, this is kind of a common thing, I guess. Is that have you ever scrolled through one of these things and without even finishing?
If I see something coming on up for a sales ad, or if I see something coming on up on TikTok that I don't want, some guy building brick houses and I don't care anything about it, I'll scroll up.
Yeah. Well, this postdoctoral fellow at the University of Toronto has studied this because she found that she was doing what's called digital switching in her own life.
All right.
She said she realized it wasn't truly enjoying or engaging with the content, and that made her wonder how the behavior actually affects her feelings of boredom. Tam and her colleagues set up 7 psychological experiments to study the connection between boredom and digital switching. In one experiment, participants who were allowed to freely switch between 7 different videos and then rated their experience as less satisfying, less absorbing, and less meaningful than participants who watched a 10-minute video in full. Tam likens the difference to watching a film at the movie theater rather than at home, which I think that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah.
You're constantly switching back and forth. You're effectively distracting yourself, whereas when you're fully immersed in a single experience, you might be more likely to appreciate it. So I don't know. There's a lot of studies on this, but I think I can understand what's going on with there, because when we're doing that kind of behavior, we're looking for something to entertain us. And anytime we don't get what we want, we experience pain, so we try to move away with it. And the more we can't find things, the more our threshold goes up.
You remember original television? I mean, we of course we do, right?
Man.
Well, we don't remember original television.
Well,
We're
back
not
in
that
my
old.
day.
Well, no, I'm just.
But yes,
when there was like 7 stations,
there were
locally.
4 stations.
Okay, there's 4, and then there was like 7 because you had 11 and 13.
You had
around.
CBS, NBC, and ABC, and then PBS.
And then you had Fox that came on out, right? So then you had CW.
Wow, you're talking about the 90s, buddy.
And
I'm talking
okay,
about the
okay.
70s.
But just think then, we didn't have a fast forward feature. Only until TiVo and these digital video recorders did we have the ability to go through something and not through something. So you'd have to watch all the commercials. I remember watching MASH with my parents at 7:30 every night on channel 11, KTSDW.
Okay, we don't need all that information.
I'm now going back and reminiscing about this. But you had to watch everything. There was no fast forward. If you wanted to get up and you wanted to fast forward, you'd have to change the channel.
That's why when you go to a convenience store, you pay 3 or 4 times more than you do at the grocery store
For the same thing.
It's convenience.
Okay. All right. Well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. When we return, we have Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics. He's going to be joining us to discuss Terrorgram. Should we be worried? You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll be back after the commercial break.
This is Mark
and Greg
for Copiers Northwest
with a terrific offer
called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner.
One of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service.
As long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers.
Or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives.
And let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Our weekly show covers the top technology subjects without any political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. Today, Mark Gregoire, our whiskey connoisseur, is back in the studio. Mark, what are we tasting today?
Today is good old Jack Daniels.
Okay.
But it's not the standard.
But it's
good
not.
old Jack Daniels.
It's the 12-year Tennessee whiskey batch 2.
Okay, batch 2.
Batch 2.
What's the difference between batch 1 and batch 2?
Oh, you got to wait till the mumble.
Different label.
Oh,
Wait till
okay.
the mumble.
Different label.
Wow.
Different label?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a different label.
It's the
but
same
this-
label, except instead of saying batch 2, it says batch 1.
Okay. All right. Batch 2 must be the premier batch that gets a little bit extra treatment because this is better tasting than the standard
Well,
Jack Daniels.
Mark,
in
tell
my
me
opinion.
about your little mumble before the mumble.
All right.
I'm going to tell you what Jack Daniels says.
Okay,
Thank
what's
you.
Jack Daniels say?
So introducing Jack Daniels 12-year-old Tennessee whiskey. The Jack Daniel Distillery is one of the most complete whiskey distilleries in the world and able to craft premium whiskeys in a way that honors the heritage while highlighting the modern-day world-class whiskey making. Now, to honor the distillery's past, their master distiller, Chris Fletcher, handcrafted this age-stated whiskey and involved their whiskey process to achieve a rare flavor profile with sweet and creamy notes of pipe tobacco, seasoned oak, and butterscotch. Now, this is from Brown Forman. It's from the Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee. It's a Tennessee whiskey, and I'm going to offend people, but that's a subclassification of a bourbon. Aging is 12 years. It is 107 proof. It's 80% corn, 12% malted barley, 8% rye. MSRP on this is $95. You can find this on the secret secondary for $200. If you go online, it's around $400.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. $400.
Holy
Yeah,
cow!
yeah, I looked
Boy,
that
that
up.
just really shot you right out from under you, didn't it?
I looked it
Wow.
up online. If I wanted to buy it online, it ranges $300 to $400 depending where you're buying, but I saw it around $400 at a few online stores.
This is just Brother Jack.
This
Brother
is not,
Jim.
This does not taste the same as the regular Jack Daniels that I normally taste.
No,
But $400 a pop.
it's classic.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The only difference, I'll tell you, at least in terms of the bottling between batch 1 and batch 2, batch 1 was a 2023 release, batch 2 is the 2024 release.
Oh, okay.
But we'll talk in the mumbles about the difference in their flavor profile.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh,
The
thank you,
flavor
Odie.
profile.
Yeah, the first one's just cigarette smoke, not pipe smoke.
Hey.
Okay. All right. With our first whiskey tasting completed, let's move on to our feature segment. Today on our technology expert segment, Nick Espinosa is joining the show. He's a cybersecurity and network infrastructure expert. He consults with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. In 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, which was later acquired in 2015. He then created Security Fanatics, where he is the chief security fanatic today. We welcome Nick to the Comcast video stream to start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
All right, Nick, welcome
Nick.
to the show. How are you doing, sir?
You know, this is a Belvini 18 year, and this week I'm drinking it straight from the bottle because I'm telling you, this has been an insane week.
It's been an insane week on the cybersecurity aspect.
It's been an insane week. This is why we drink.
This is why we drink.
And should possibly attend meetings.
And attend meetings every once in a while.
By God.
All right.
Meetings to drink.
That's right. Well, Nick has some breaking news, but we're going to start with our main story, and then he's going to go into some breaking news, and we have some follow-up questions with that, too.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's talk about Terrorgram, as this is getting some attention. Now, it's not quite. Yep, Terrorgram. This is a huge story that's going to come on out in the next couple of weeks. I know about it on the sub little groups within the Telegram service that they have, but explain more to all of our listening audience what this is and why we should be afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, this is not nearly as fun as the Terror Dome, if you know that reference. But what we're going to start talking about first is the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, because they did a whole bunch of research and network analysis of Telegram channels, and essentially they are looking at what is called the Terrorgram Collective. And essentially, this is a disparate online network of neo-fascist accelerationists. In other words, they really want to bring down society as fast as they humanly can. And the Terrorgram Collective has been linked to arrests and attacks in the United States, Canada, Slovakia. They were recently prosecuted by the UK government. I mean, this is a huge, huge thing. And here's the problem with this, because obviously they're using Telegram, whose founder was recently arrested on a whole bunch of charges. Thanks to
in France. Yeah, France arrested him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. His girlfriend was like tweeting out where they were, putting like the plane number. It was a whole mess. But
wow,
anyway, honest to God,
you gotta get a new girlfriend.
I guess she wasn't really into cybersecurity. Huh?
Not so much, no. But good for us. So here's what's happening with the Terrorgram Collective. They are obviously far-right extremists, want to burn the world down, but they now have a campaign where they are pushing essentially into far-right, but not quite extremist Telegram channels to try to radicalize those populations. How do you push somebody further right? You introduce them to even further right, propaganda, et cetera, et cetera. And so this ISD analysis showed that there were 3 major Telegram channels on the far right that collectively have about 70,000 subscribers. So it's a target-rich community, and it's essentially been serving as a gateway into far-right terrorist content associated with the Terrorgram Collective. Now, 2 of these channels function as like news aggregators, quote unquote, and one of them actually claims to be part of Steve Bannon's War Room podcast. So we're talking about far-right individuals here that are actively motivated, and various pieces of evidence suggest that these 3 channels are part of a coordinated endeavor by the Terrorgram Collective to infiltrate and control these not quite mainstream, but more mainstream than what they are. And so they are tied, interestingly enough, to a lot of different things. But if you want to understand who these people are, when one of the users on one of these 3 sites that they are actively trying to recruit from criticized the Charleston shooter, that's Dylan Roof, he went in there and basically shot a whole bunch of African Americans. The administrator of this group, who is a member of the Terrorgram Collective, basically called Dylan Roof a hero for killing both a black politician and also a black rights activist. Now, in another conversation discussing an article about the Terrorgram's reaction to an attack on the North Carolina power grid a couple of years ago, if you recall, some person went shooting at power grids, knocking out power around this area in North Carolina. Essentially, two Terrorgram affiliated individuals were explicitly referencing essentially this person as if they knew this person directly. And so they have this big push now to start going after infrastructure in the United States and other countries to essentially cause discord and chaos, because they want to bring essentially about the end of civilization so they can build a neo-fascist society. And so this is very active. They are in the process of recruiting and pushing people on the far right, even further right, and from basically having, like, let's say, a very negative ideology all the way to acting on that negative ideology. And so by virtue of that, their accelerationists is a very terrifying thing. And these guys are growing. So it's a huge problem that we're seeing. And obviously right on Telegram, which is a mostly private messaging system. And so it's very hard to track and trace. So good work for the ISD there.
It's like Manson times 10.
Oh, they're nuts. They're absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say they're extremists. I would say they're just terrorists is the nicest way to say it. In what they have there, let's be very clear that there's no intent there to make the world better. It's just let's destroy.
Right.
And I'll say this: the Terrorgram network is way worse than almost any dark web hacking site group or anything else that you go and listen into on the dark web compared to what these people are doing on that. There is, as much as everybody's like, oh, the dark web's this horrible place. You got all these criminals that are doing this and that. There's some truth to that, yes. But they're not planning to destroy the world. And how can I take out the most number of people? And how can I only commit suicide myself while I take out 1,000 people and come up with, it's horrible. It needs to be stopped. And there needs to be some type of regulation that comes on in with any of these sites for these areas that just shut the stuff down.
Right. Well, and that's the big balance between living in a society with free and open laws that gives you a right to privacy versus the lowest common denominator, right? And so if you're looking at that, that's why Signal and Telegram, Threema out of Europe, all basically say, well, we don't log, we don't do anything, because overwhelmingly, most of us are not Terrorgram members, right? Most of us do not want to do this, and we have to take the good with the bad. But that is the argument, that governments and law enforcement is making. And, and the dark web's not exactly, all sunshine and rainbows either.
It's not either. It's not. No.
Weapons, drugs.
I think if you say the dark web, I think that pretty much gives you an idea.
Well, you think that, but what I'm just saying is that's always where they think the hoodlums hang out. But Telegram is free. Anybody can install Telegram on their phone at any time and be a part of these groups that are doing that. So it's not that you need to go to some secret bunker.
They're essentially making the slope slipperier.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you have a breaking story. Let's go to that first. And then I have the TP link, and I still want to talk about Twitter or X after that. So
absolutely.
Your breaking stuff.
So let's do this, because this literally just came out. I literally just did my own podcast and video on this today, but this just broke a couple of hours ago, and it's starting to hit mainstream media. So we're kind of ahead of the curve here. But a Chinese hacking group essentially exploited a bug to compromise several internet companies across the United States and abroad. And this is obviously a huge thing. So researchers at Lumen Technology essentially found a vulnerability in a product called Versa Director. This is a software platform used to manage services of customers of Versa Networks that makes Versa Director. And so Lumen said that at the moment, and there's going to be more, they've identified at least 4 U.S. targets. 1 non-U.S. victim has also been identified. They're not naming these victims, but we're going to talk about that in a second, because Versa Networks issued an advisory like a day ago that basically said that this vulnerability had been exploited in at least one instance. Now, that prompted CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency of the United States, to then put this vulnerability on their list of known exploited vulnerabilities, meaning we have confirmation, including from CISA, that this actually has been exploited. Now, Lumen's blog post, the ones that really brought this to light, said that basically they have moderate confidence, which is pretty good, that the hacking campaign was actually done by Volt Typhoon. Now, you may remember these guys from FBI Director Christopher Wray going in front of Congress and basically saying that these guys are hacking everybody. Their ability to physically wreak havoc on U.S. critical infrastructure is essentially what Wray was talking about. And so this is a huge thing. So by virtue of this, I went looking at Versa's website to see who their clients are. My God, this is why I busted out the good stuff, because we are talking in their client list: Amazon, BP, Samsung, Verizon, Adobe, American Express, Versace, Norton LifeLock, Comcast, Visa, Virgin, Barclays, McLaren, the really cool car company, and Capital One. So, and that's
what's in your wallet?
Yeah, apparently
Chinese hacking
hackers,
group, apparently.
right? You know, so this is a huge problem, and I think this is going to unfold. This may be a major supply chain breach that we are just now getting wind of. It's going to be huge, and again, I'll see you at the 12-step meeting over this one, because it's absolutely nuts.
That's good to know.
Now, speaking of China, we're going to just continue with
let's
China.
just talk more about China.
Let's talk about TP-Link products. Now, I actually have 2 or 3 TP-Link products. I have a dongle device that I plug into a USB-C device to get network. I have a wireless router that can go from my actual connection of my copper from inside my house to outside my house with one of these devices. What is going on with the T-Link products?
Well, Nathan, why you like Chinese intelligence, man? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to me here?
Yeah, we're sitting next to somebody who likes TikTok. So what do you expect?
Lordy Lord. All right.
Okay. All right.
So here's what's going on. So 2 U.S. representatives, Representative Molinar, he's a Republican from Michigan, and my homeboy, Raja Krishnamurthy, he's a Democrat from Illinois. He's actually the one that sponsors me the Congressional App Challenge as a judge every year. I'm a judge for that. Essentially, they head up the House Select Committee on Countering Chinese Government, and they are basically calling on the Department of Commerce to investigate TP-Link over concerns that the Chinese government can just walk right into these things and then exploit products to spy on, well, Nathan, apparently. So, for the record, the lawmakers haven't really uncovered direct evidence, but here's the thing. They're concerned that the Chinese government could easily compromise these routers and, you know, everything that Nathan's running in his home, because they're manufactured in China, and they have a ton of security flaws and vulnerabilities. Now, to be fair, we've seen a lot of basic manufacturers, think Netgear a while back, that have huge vulnerabilities, but because this is a Chinese company, this is an issue. And for the record, they're obfuscating things too, because TP-Link is actually headquartered in both Singapore and the United States. The company was originally founded in Shenzhen, China, back in the 90s. But here's the thing. That is a very common tactic for companies out of China to use obfuscation for situations like this. So TikTok, for example, is doing something very similar. Their US-based data in Oracle data centers, they're replicating to Singapore. They were caught doing that, even though their executives said no, and they technically have a headquarters here. Temu is another one. They're technically, they have a whole bunch of shell companies, and they're incorporated out of like the Caribbean, like one of the nations down there. So by virtue of that, that is no excuse for TP-Link, and we have these problems with HTC, Huawei, and a whole bunch of others that have been banned for use by the government. And so, Nathan, man, what are you doing?
The Chinese tune in to watch all the.
So guess what? I actually made sure all my TP-Link softwares were updated after I saw this come on in last night. So I have 3 devices that are online, and one only goes on outside to, where I do fireworks, and it's a wireless type of device, so I can shut that back. It does watch. It watches. So the Chinese get all the access to my chicken coop, is what they can see. Right. My chickens running around, so they know I have a whole chicken coop.
Hey, Nathan,
that's really big.
Those are American chickens, man. Those are American chickens. You got to make sure, you know. And for the record, you might have patched it, but now you have 60 vulnerabilities and not 70.
Okay.
So, there you go.
All right. I got to buy some new hardware. The wife loves that. Guess what, honey? We're buying a whole new router.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
All right. Now, last but not least, let's talk about Twitter, or X. All right. So I just reamed them because we use like StreamYard as our streaming service for all of you that are watching. And I think we have, looks like we have 600 plus people watching the show. Thank you for tuning on in and listening to Nick. They decided that they're going to only have premium accounts that are allowed to stream content online now. So we have removed ourselves from Twitter/X. And then you shared this information, and I thought it was just perfect on how much I hate now. And I used to hate Twitter because I was like, oh, that it was so liberal. They would do everything. And now we've gone exactly opposite. And I still hate it. So tell us what they are now doing, which is the best subject of all for AI. Our buddy Microday just loves AI. What is going on with Twitter and X?
And do you see how low this bottle is on my screen?
Hey, that was full when you got on.
Honest to God. And I opened it 2 hours ago. No, I'm kidding. All right. So let's talk about Twitter/X/whatever Elon's going to call it in 6 months. Now, essentially, they opted you in for training their artificial intelligence, and they didn't tell anybody, myself included, because I went and looked. Yeah.
What? No way. Okay.
Now, here's what's going on. Now, this is all coming to light by basically a group out of Europe called None of Your Own Business. And quite frankly, they should be called None of Your Own Damn Business. But anyway, they filed 9 GDPR complaints about X using personal data from over 60 million users in Europe, not to mention all of us here in the States, to train Grok. Now, Grok is large language.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Grok is so horrible. Although I spent time on the new AI graphic stuff because you can just put anything you want in there and it'll just make graphics. But continue on. Okay. So this is training Grok.
Right. Well, hey, it's learning off of tweets, so it's going to be terrible. So, I mean, it's going to be the worst. Look at Microsoft Tay. No comment. So now, according to None of Your Own Business, or NOYB, X did not inform its users that their data was being used to train their AI. They didn't ask for consent either, which is 100% true, because I looked at my own American-based Twitter account, and sure enough, I was opted in automatically. Now, they are now alleging that this huge amount of data from the 60 million users in the EU, not to mention a bazillion of us here, now is Twitter does not have proper legal basis. And so by virtue of that, they're able to be sued and fined. And so this is a huge issue. Now, if you want to fix this, I've got the instructions here, and it's really, really easy. But
tell everybody on the air. Tell everybody on the air.
Yeah, let's do this. So if you've got a Twitter or X account, go to the web browser. I'm not sure on the app. I did this on the web browser. It's just easier. And essentially go to your profile, click More, click Settings, click Privacy and Safety. You'll see Grok, and then they're just basically remove a checkbox. And then there's an optional one that says Delete Conversation History, which is your history of using Grok. So More, Settings, Privacy and Safety, Grok, kill it like a bad habit.
So click on your profile, go to Settings.
More
while you're in there.
More.
Yeah.
You
More
should have
settings
this on your newsletter or whatever.
We'll send this out. We'll send this out on the show notes.
Absolutely.
The other thing you do to protect yourself is just uninstall and never use it again.
Set it on fire. Just set your phone on fire.
Set everything on fire. So Twitter and X should combine the name and have the X in front of the
Twix.
No, that's a good one.
That is a good
mine's
one.
better because it comes out to be jitter.
Oh.
Whoa.
All right. Okay.
Whoa.
All right.
Not
Now
so
we're gonna
much.
get in trouble. We're gonna have to edit out a bunch of our show.
Thanks,
online.
Nick. I always rely on your support.
All right, Nick.
Serve.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. This was good. This was great breaking news and information. Now, the next time you're on the show, I want to do all about elections.
Let's do
Okay,
it.
so we're going to talk about election fraud, election misinformation. Our next time we talk about, we're going to be gearing up for the election, and oh boy, is it going to be an exciting time of the year. I want you to talk about everything election scary. Besides my pillow guy that said that the election things didn't work and then he couldn't prove it. But besides that, everything that is provable, factual, that we can talk about the election.
Yes.
Now, for people that want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Not on X.
No, he said, I saw your tweet. I saw, and what do they call it? An X or tweet or whatever you call, where you're just pushing LinkedIn now. That is the place, which I like that. But okay, where can we find you?
So find me on LinkedIn at Nick Espinosa. And also for the record, if we're talking the elections, the audience now knows that you are literally trying to kill me with alcohol poisoning. So like, share, follow me, LinkedIn, Twitter at Nick AESP, YouTube / Nick Espinosa. Come say hi, come hang out.
All right. Thank you from our expert in cybersecurity. All
right,
right,
Nick.
That ends our Ask the Expert with Nick Espinosa. Now up, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment.
Welcome to Mike's mesmerizing moment. What does Mike have to say today?
All right. After we had that great information about all the China,
we need more
stuff,
liquor.
We do need more liquor. We may have to fill up. Mark's already out. He already said he needed another.
We need to fill up the glass.
Commercial break. All right, here we got. So, why do we have such short attention spans nowadays, where we have to just swipe on everything? What has happened to us?
I think a part of this is what's basically mutual behavior modifications.
Okay.
We have this sort of symbiotic relationship now where that I think is very media driven, where the media is trying to get your attention and they're doing everything they can to get your attention. And you mentioned back in the old days when we were watching TV, we would sit through commercials, right?
Yep.
But what happened? We would sit through commercials for a while, and then we would use commercial breaks to go do other stuff.
Go to the restroom,
right?
grab dinner. Yep.
So they come up with funnier commercials that we want to sit and watch. And then, as time goes by, we're getting all this input. We're getting more and more input and just more and more input. And so getting our attention is a lot harder because now we have filters that we're throwing up. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. So the marketing companies are still going to try and grab your attention. And now they're trying to keep it. And we just don't have enough energy to keep up with everything. So we start shortening our ability to pay attention.
Okay.
And I think that's a very big contributing factor to why. And human beings aren't really known for their long attention spans anyway, but when you have this dynamic going on, it's just chipping away at our ability to do that.
All right. Mike, thank you for that mesmerizing moment. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side. I think we're going to be refilling our glasses. So we're going to take a commercial break. See you after this. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, so you know what? We need people to start liking our social media pages.
If you like our show, if you really like us, we could use your support on patreon.com.
Or is it Patreon? I think it's Patreon.
Okay, Patreon. If you really like us, you can.
And you say I'm the English guy?
Patreon.com.
I butcher the English language?
You butcher the English.
Okay, so it's
all the time.
It's Patreon.com.
Patreon.com. If you really like our show, you can subscribe to Patreon.com and help us out.
And you can visit us on that Facebook platform. You know, the one that Zuckerberg owns?
The one that we always bag on?
Yeah, you can. We're on Facebook too.
Yeah, like us on Facebook.
Do you know what our Facebook page is?
TechTime Radio.
At TechTime Radio. Yeah. You know what? There's a trend here.
It seems to be that there's a trend, and that's TechTime Radio.
Or you can even Instagram with us.
And that's at TechTime Radio.
That's at TechTime Radio. Or you can find us on TikTok.
And it's TechTime Radio.
It's at TechTime Radio.
Like and subscribe to our social media.
Like us today. We need you to like us.
Like us and subscribe. That's it.
That's it. That's that simple.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right. We're going back in the Wayback Machine here to August 24th, 2011. Steve Jobs resigns as Apple's CEO. I have always said, if there ever came a day when I could no longer meet my duties and expectations as Apple's CEO, I would be the first to let you know. Unfortunately, that day has come, Steve Jobs wrote. Titled Letters from Steve Jobs, it was a short note from Steve himself addressing to both Apple's board of directors and the Apple community. He said he could no longer meet his duties and expectations as the Apple CEO. With a few more keystrokes, he had resigned. Steve didn't want to give up all of his duties at Apple, though, and asked the board to allow him to remain as chairman. He told the board to name Tim as CEO, and he thanked his team for their work and friendship. Apple CEO Steve Jobs resigned amid rumors of failing health, and he passed away 43 days later. That was This Week in Technology. Have you ever wanted to have some tech time history? With over 200 weekly broadcasts spanning 5+ years in video, podcasts, and blog information, you can visit us at techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have the Mark Mumble Whiskey Review. See you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our medium roast founder series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
All right, buddy.
August 27th, we are celebrating.
Not National Dog Day, is it?
No, that was the 26th.
No. We hope all to get lucky today.
Oh, what
it
is
is
that?
International Lottery Day.
Oh.
Yeah. I want to win the lottery.
Oh, wow. Okay. The lottery.
I thought it was going to be something better
All right. No, International Lottery Day.
because he said getting lucky day. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Sure.
wow.
Whoa.
You better be careful. China's creating a profile on all your Comcast.
Hey, this is free radio. China can listen in all it wants.
All right. Okay.
Now, lottery, or no matter what language you say it in, people around the world love lottery games. On International Lottery Day, we are all dreaming of dollars or euros or pounds or lira. Today is the day we all try our luck, and you never know. A life-changing sum of money or something special could be on the horizon for you.
I got to buy a lottery ticket on the way home.
Yeah, I don't play the lottery.
Well, he can't win if you don't play.
Yeah, that's a good slogan. I can't lose if I don't play either.
Okay, well, you can't win if you don't play.
Well, you guys have been enjoying the Jack Daniels, so let's talk about some fun facts that maybe you didn't know about Jack Daniels.
Okay.
First of all, Jack Daniels' real name was Jasper Newton Daniel, but everybody called him Jack or Mr. Jack. Can you imagine ordering a Jasper Newton Daniel and Coke at a bar?
A Jasper Daniel, please. Actually, that doesn't
Yeah,
sound
that
that
doesn't
bad.
sound bad.
You got to put
all
the
the other
middle
crazy
name.
names.
Give me a
but-
Jasper.
Okay.
Now, also, legend
Jasper
has
and
it
Coke.
that Jack Daniel could not remember the combination to his safe.
Okay.
I've heard
So he
that.
got frustrated, kicked it, shattered his big left toe. He didn't want to see a doctor, and he got gangrene. So eventually the toe was removed, and he got more problems, and then the leg was removed eventually after the foot, and later on it went all the way up to the hip, and then he died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So don't go kicking your safe.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah, kick
Ultimate
other things.
National Don't Kick
Like-
Safe Day. That's probably coming on up in 6
Kick
weeks.
trees, kick
That's right.
cars.
All
And then finally, we've talked about Buffalo Trace Slater being the oldest continuous running distillery in the country. But Jack Daniels is the oldest registered distillery in the U.S. Some reports say the company was founded in 1875, but an official plaque on the property proudly displays registered distillery number 1, 1866.
Well, that's kind of cool, though. Come on. That's got to be really cool.
Well, yeah, that was right around when the Civil War was ending, so everybody needed to drink.
That's right. And then they all of a sudden you came to the turn of the century, and then they forbid drinking because you couldn't drink all of a sudden.
We don't need to go into
Okay, all right.
So
That
why
was
did I pick Jack Daniels 12 today?
Brother
This is-
Jack.
This is good
Why did I pick it on National Lottery Day?
because we're gonna get lucky.
No,
Okay.
because I already got lucky.
Oh.
I won this bottle in a lottery, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of my whiskey lotteries.
All right. There you go.
Now, this is one of my favorite whiskeys to come out in the last few years. I do prefer batch number 1, which had more focus on fruit and sweetness to balance the oak. However, this batch is still delicious. With this heavier focus, though, is on oak and spice. So that's the little difference between the batches. But they're supposed to be releasing these each year. So they started off 2 years ago with Jack Daniel's 10. No, it was actually 3 years ago, Jack Daniel's 10. That was batch 1. Then they came out the next year with Jack Daniel's 10 batch 2 and batch number 1 of the 12. Then they came out with batch 2 and batch 3 of those. And they're supposed to be coming out with the Jack Daniel's 14, as rumor says. So,
Hey, that sounds like iPhone.
14. There you go. All right. Anything else?
that's everything, unless you have questions.
No. Well, thank you for that, Mumble. Whiskey and technology is such a great pairing, just like the terms security and breach. And with that, we're going to move on to our technology fail of the week.
Yeah, that was a fail.
Oh, that was good.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure. Oh. I failed, did I? Yes. Did I? Yes. Did I? Yes.
All right. Well, this week's failure comes to us from Georgia Tech's Georgia Institute of Technology. Now, Georgia Tech failed to secure systems that handled sensitive government data. Researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology, who received more than $1 billion in Defense Department contracts, are under fire for allegedly not securing their computers and servers because they found it too, quote unquote, burdensome. Since 2013, the Department of Defense has required any contract recipient who handles sensitive data to provide adequate security on their systems. Now, over at Georgia Tech, however, the lab director failed to deploy and develop a security plan and pushed back on IT departments that wanted them to install these things called antivirus and anti-malware software. The basics.
You mean like Norton?
Yeah, like just the
Who just got
basics. Just
hacked
the
by
basics.
China?
Well, just the basics. Now, 2 employees, though, in the IT department filed a whistleblower lawsuit, and the Department of Justice joined the case against the school this week. Now they're actually against the nonprofit arm that handles the government contracts at the university, which is called the GTRC. According to the lawsuit, the lab at Georgia Tech dragged its feet on developing and implementing a system security plan as required by the terms of the government contract. When it finally did in 2020, the plan did not include all covered laptops. You don't need to cover your laptops, desktops, or servers. So it included everything else other than laptops, desktops, and servers. So that those IoT devices, I guess. Now, the Astro Lavis Lab, which says its mission is to, quote unquote, address the security of emerging technologies critical to our nation, also didn't install updates. You don't want to do that. Or run antivirus or anti-malware tools on the desktop, laptop servers and network at the lab until December of 2021. But they decided to fabricate compliance reports that were sent to the Defense Department. Between 2019 and 2022, the GTRC secured more than $1.6 billion in government contracts, primarily with the federal government and specifically the Department of Defense. In 2020 alone, GTRC entered into more than $423 million in contracts. So here's the rules here. If you're going to have a contract with the United States government that says that you must have security measures in place, I don't think I would want to be in charge of the university's technology labs saying that we're going to bypass that because it's too
I'm pretty sure those
troublesome.
guys don't work there anymore.
I don't think they do too. All right. Well, now we're going to move into the Nathan Nugget.
This is your Nugget of the Week.
Let's talk about how to check your social security number to see if it was part of a data breach. Now, websites that only require name, birthday, date, and birthplace can help you figure out a person's information. And if it was stolen and don't requires you to submit your social security numbers. An estimated 2.9 billion records, including names, address, and social security numbers, may be affected after the National Public Data confirmed it suffered a massive data breach involving the personnel information of millions of Americans. Now, the problem is many websites are claiming that they're here to help you. And if you want to search if you have a security breach, to input your social security number and information to see if you've been breached.
That sounds so stupid.
And you know what? These are fake sites. This is almost an extension of letters. If you receive a call on the phone from someone that says that they want to see if your security number has been breached and they ask you for your social security number, hang up the phone. If you receive a text asking for social security numbers, hang up the phone. And if you go to a website that says, I can search for your social security number, get out of that website and go to 2 websites that are actually correct to do this. And I'm going to tell you what those are. It's mpd.pentester.com. It only requires people to submit their first name, last name, state, and birthday, and it will see if your social security number has been taken care of. Mike, you're doing this right now as I'm saying this. npdbreach.com also can search for information using your full name and zip code and your phone number. Do not go and see if your social security number was breached on any other sites. Again, that's npd.pentester.com and npdbreach.com. All of these are national programs that are in there to check to see if your social security number has been breached without you having to fear to give it to some of those crazy Chinese people. Now, Mike, when you searched for your social security number, did you come up breached or not?
I don't know. It sent me to this weird page.
Okay. All right.
What did you say, Mike? I did not hear that.
He's not in his mic. He's still looking right now.
It sent me to a weird page that wants me to pay
Ooh.
stuff.
Oh no.
Well, with a minute left.
Pen tester. PENTESTER.com.
That's where I went. It sent me to a pay scan.
All right,
My
I'll
good
show you
Mark.
that.
They've been drinking a lot, and I hear they're going to Applebee's after to have all-you-can-eat shrimp.
Oh, you can eat shrimp.
Make
That's
sure you pay for one for each of you, and don't expect it's one for the whole table like the lady in Indiana.
Yeah, we won't do that. We're good about it. Our guy
We got arrested for that.
Yeah, I that was a great article. It was pretty funny. It is per person. All
And
right.
with that, the gentlemen today have been drinking Jack Daniel's 10-year Tennessee whiskey, batch 2. It is 107 proof, $95 MSRP, but it can go all the way up to $400 if you try and grab it at online or a liquor store.
Thumbs up for Nathan. I think this is fantastic.
Michael?
You're thumbs upping for yourself?
For the whiskey.
Okay, because I'm already a Brother Jack fan.
Okay.
Best you've had this year.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/TechTime Radio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.